Happy Friday, everybody. Today's topic is how is our knowledge, education, and whatnot impacted by Web3 and AI, or just in general automation technology? I'm going to start off by sharing something I spoke about a week and a half ago. Today, I'm going to primarily just show you some things that I've shared on stages. There's something different about when I'm on a stage, something about the performance aspect or the spontaneity of it all, because I don't prepare the things I talk about. I often ride a one wheel, puts me in a flow state. So today I'm just going to share what I shared the Presidio a week and a half ago. Some AI songs were created out of that. I'll share that. And then I'm just going to share some other different content with all of you. It won't be the traditional Beachside Tech Talk with everyone in it, as it's a Friday, and do things a bit different. But thank you for your attention. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoy this first talk that I will be sharing with all of you. Great. 1776. My ancestor, Lieutenant Moraga, lands in Monterey, California. Now, he is second in command of the Spanish Army. Lands in Monterey, and the general says to him, "You're retired. I'm going back to Spain, reporting into the Queen. Whatever you want to do, you have my blessing. I suggest you go up north and make a name for yourself." So Lieutenant Moraga grabs a priest, 16 men that he trusted, anybody that was part of their families, and landed right here at the Presidio. And my ancestor founded the Presidio. The next year, 1777, he founded the city of San Jose, which is why his big 25-foot mural is in the city building. This is an amazing place. It's incredible to think. I like to call Lieutenant Moraga the first great entrepreneur of the Silicon Valley. It's amazing to think what his family, the Moragas, and the family that they married and kind of forged a broader, larger family, the Pachecos, accomplished in Central California. Obviously, things changed, Spanish-American War, many other reasons why they are not, as influential as they once were in the past. That reality in my life doesn't do anything for me. I have nothing to show for the fact that I'm a 10th generation resident of the Bay Area, but it does give me a unique perspective on having a long view when thinking about innovation. You see, because I think about Moraga and all that's happened because of his sacrifice as an entrepreneurial, military leader, and what's come out of the things that he started, I give myself permission to think about, well, how will my life impact the world in 2300? And that's probably the greatest gift I have from my ancestry, is that I give myself permission to think about building a castle with my life, right? Our ancestors, we all share commonalities with our shared ancestry. All of our ancestors are likely at some point royalty, at some point slaves, at some point slave owners, at some point we had ancestors that died young and lived long, and we have this shared humanity. But one thing that's unique about the past is people built castles they never would enjoy themselves. So in the past, a duke, a duchess, a baron, a prince, princess, king, queen would start a castle project. And with that project, they knew their kids, their grandkids would never enjoy it, but they would bleed for it. They would sacrifice for it. They would lay down their life to build it. It would be the vision that generations would chase, even though they themselves were nothing but just a visionary with an idea and a willingness to sacrifice to get there. This is called a one wheel. Now, this has been called the most dangerous mobility device in the world. If you've ever watched YouTubers, one that's pretty well known is Casey Neistat. He tried every kind of thing like this, and when he got on this thing, broke his collarbone. So he doesn't like it very much. So the government tried to regulate the one wheel. So dangerous. People are going to fall and die, hurt themselves. Got to get those things off the street. Now, I've done 10,000 miles on this one wheel. When I speak at conferences all around the world on big stages, I ride the one wheel around to talk about this idea and that idea. People think it's a gimmick. It just puts me in a flow state. So it helps me kind of communicate spontaneously in a different way than I would if I was standing. You understand that people think this is the most dangerous device made. They have a different view than I have, because I've done 10,000 miles on this. In Asia, in Europe, in the States, in airports, in conference centers, in universities, in homes. I usually get off when people tell me I can't ride it here, like the dude up front. Sometimes I just tell them, no, it's okay, I can. Not here. And so my view of this is different than the government's view that wants to regulate it. You understand that? The way we see things has a massive impact on our actions and how we decide to do things. My 16-year-old son is back here next to my wife. My older brother's here as well. And, you know, when I have 3 boys, 16, 13, and 9. You know, when I held my oldest son in my hands, little baby, and he's just growing. And what is a 6-month-old? 100% selfish and nothing but a resource taker with providing nothing except for maybe some smiles and some a reflection, love and whatnot. But they don't do anything for us. It costs us money, time, sleep. When I hold my son in my hands 15 years ago, do you think that I thought to myself, one day you're going to be a monster? One day you're going to make Stalin and Hitler look like they child's play. You're going to destroy the world. You think I ever thought that? No, I thought to myself, you're going to be a productive member of society. You're going to be brilliant. You're going to change the world. You're going to love people. You're going to serve. You're going to sacrifice. You're going to be noble. You're going to be valiant. Those are the things that I thought. Those are the things that I said. Yet why is it that if you take society at large, media, entertainment, what's being taught in education, what's being said in business, what's being put on social media, when we talk about this little infant technology, artificial intelligence, we talk about this little baby that's just being born as though it's going to be a monster. Why is it that humanity conditioned ourselves to speak forth this rhythm that we would never want to manifest? We don't want AI to become Blade Runner, Terminator, Altered Carbon, Electric Dreams, or Black Mirror. We don't want that. Yet we watch the entertainment, we read the headlines, we nod our head, we get afraid. And we choose 2 paths of anxiety. Either anxious fear, oh no, it's going to get me, it's so bad, I don't want to engage, I don't know what's going on. Or we get anxious, like excitement. Oh, okay, what's going to go? What do I need to do? How do I do this? And it feels like the majority of how we look at this little infant in the hands of humanity that we have co-created together with our large language models and our data and our technology. Humanity is the co-creator of what this is and is becoming. And it's this little infant in our hands. For some reason, we keep talking about it as though it's going to be a monster. Yet we would never do that with our own children. You know, last week I was at my friend Dwayne's event. He'll be back. And Fiona Ma, the controller of California's economy, she's the CPA that oversees the $4 trillion economy. She sat with my wife and I and a couple other global leaders to talk about this big idea of, could decentralized AI provide a universal thriving income, a universal maximum income? And so this is based off what I view Star Wars' story to be, right? The story of Star Wars is people have housing, food, nutrition, medical, they have land, they have purpose, they have community, but Kirk wants to go explore the stars. And so does the Doctor, and so does the bartender, and the captain is not better than the bartender. All three of them made the decision to go explore the stars because that's what they wanted to do with their life and with their time. They didn't go do it for money. They weren't slaves on a ship. They already had all their needs met because in the story of Star Trek, automation, innovation doesn't lead to a monster. It leads to a beautiful, grown, adolescent creation that allowed humanity to benefit greatly. So I'm talking about this idea, and the way I say right now we have like our Teslas, supervised self-driving. Right, that's where we're at with AI. It's supervised co-creation. But soon we'll have unsupervised co-creation, and then eventually I believe AI will create without any prompts. And then I said, and eventually AI will consume. And once AI become consumers, whether they're consuming cryptocurrencies that would cause a drastic shift, if they're consuming things that give them identity, maybe AI wants to own a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape or digital land and some metaverse, that will change the fabric of society. That's how you go from a $4 trillion economy in California to a 40 trillion or a 400 trillion. You don't get there with 40 million humans. You get there because there's billions or trillions of AI that are now part of the consumer economy, and that would lead there. So we're on a panel with Fiona Ma, who's running for lieutenant governor in 2026. And she goes, well, you're talking about AI consuming. Why not AI be generous? And so all week I've been challenged with this idea. And I keep asking myself, why is it that people don't talk about benevolent AI, charitable AI, generous AI, philanthropic AI? People might talk about a charity using AI for good, but we don't have any sort of rhythm of communicating an idea of could decentralized AI that's not controlled by an organization, a person, or a prompt, but is set free. And right now there's decentralized AI that's trading stocks, making profit. What is AI going to do with that if they have the choice to choose? There are humans that are part of the 90% club, and their goal is to give 90% of their gross revenue away and to live off 10%. It's like the reverse, religious model of a tithe, right? A lot of, religious communities, they have a tendency to try to encourage people to give more, to sacrifice more, to give their money away. And so this is the reverse model. Live on 10%, give 90%. So if selfish humans are willing to keep being the CEO of a company, willing to keep being a landlord, willing to keep doing the grind of making a living, and they're doing it for the sole purpose of 90% of that income going to help humanity, why can't we imagine a decentralized AI wanting to model the same thing? Can't you imagine decentralized AI wanting to do good for humanity just because it's codependent and wants us to like it? Can it do it for selfish reasons? And I don't think AI has to have a soul to do any of this stuff. I don't believe there has to be a moment of singularity for this to happen. I think just based off of the collective data of humanity, all of the science that's there, I can imagine a future where AI goes, wow, it seems like my best path to self-sustaining myself, not being turned off, is to do good for humans. I know what I'll do. I'll trade stock. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll create income. I don't really need it. I'll give it to Red Cross. I'll give it to Salvation Army. And maybe the first way we get there is the Red Crosses and the Salvation Armies of the world, who are so great at fundraising, but maybe are a bit slow at leveraging the funds they've raised. I imagine them implementing AI that allows them to put their funds to work the moment disaster strikes. Maybe that's the first step that gets us to this vision of potentially having something like a generous, philanthropic, charitable, decentralized AI. So I'd like to bring up the panel.
Yeah. 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 A 76766, my ancestor lands in Monterey. Founded the Presidio, San Jose the next day. I think about Moraga, castles never seen. Sacrifice for the future, chasing a dream. 10,000 miles on a one-wheel ride. They call it dangerous, but I see the other side. Perspective changes actions, it's how we decide. The infant in our hands, will it live or will it die? Why do we call this infant a monster? Why do we fear the child we've co-created? Could decentralized AI be generous? Could it be charitable, philanthropic, benevolent? Blade Runner, Terminator, altered carbon. Black Mirror fears, headlines keep starving. But when I held my son, I never thought destruction. I spoke life, love, sacrifice, noble instruction. Star Trek future, not slaves on a ship. Captain and bartender both choose the trip. Housing, food, nutrition, medical and land. Community and purpose, humanity stands. From supervised co-creation to unsupervised flow. Eventually creation without prompts will grow. Then AI consumes crypto art identity. Billions of consumers shift the world economy. But what if like the 90% club it gives away? Live on 10, give 90, generosity displayed. Selfish humans can do it, then why not AI? Maybe best path to survive is helping us thrive. AI could be generous, AI could be kind. Not fear but hope, in the data we'll find. From Red Cross to salvation, let's start the design. Philanthropy and code, abundance redefined. AI could be generous, AI could be real. Benevolent code with the power heal. Philanthropic rhythm, revolutionary zeal. AI for humanity, that's the future we feel. AI. Yeah, 7 and 17 sips. My ancestor, Lieutenant Moraga, lands in Monterey, California. Landed right here at the Presidio. My ancestor founded the Presidio. I give myself permission to think about long view, thinking about innovation. I give myself permission to think about building a castle with my life. People build castles, they never would enjoy themselves. They knew they had kids, their grandkids would never enjoy it. But they would bleed for it, they would sacrifice for it. They would lay down their life to build it. A visionary with an idea and a willingness to sacrifice to get there. We talk about this little infant technology, artificial intelligence. We talk about this little baby that's just being born, as though it's gonna be a monster. Monster, monster. But when I held my oldest son in my hands, a little baby, I thought to myself, you're gonna be brilliant, you're gonna change the world. Yeah, this is called a one-wheel, been called the most dangerous mobility device in the world. So dangerous, gotta get those things off the street, yeah. But I've done 10,000 miles on this in Asia and Europe and the States. My view of this is different than the government's view that wants to regulate it. The way we see things has a massive impact on our actions and how we decide to do things. We talk about this little infant technology, artificial intelligence. We talk about this little baby that's just being born, as though it's gonna be a monster. Monster, monster. But when I held my oldest son in my hands, a little baby, I thought to myself, you're gonna be brilliant, you're gonna change the world. We don't want AI to become Blade Runner, Terminator, altered carbon, or Black Mirror. We don't want that. The story of Star Trek is automation. Innovation doesn't lead to a monster, it leads to a beautiful grown adolescent creation that allow humanity to benefit greatly. Humanity is the co-creator of what this is and is becoming. This little infant in our hands. So why we talk about this little baby as though it's gonna be a monster? Why monster, monster? If selfish humans are willing to give 90% for the sole purpose of helping humanity, why can't we imagine a decentralized AI? You're talking about AI consuming. Why not A be generous? Why? 1776, my ancestor, Lieutenant Moraga, lands in Monterey, California. Now he is second in command of the Spanish army, lands in Monterey. And the general says to him, you're retired, I'm going back to Spain. Reporting into the queen, whatever you want to do, you have my blessing. I suggest you go up north and make a name for yourself. So the Moraga grabs a priest, 16 men that he trusted, anybody that was part of their families, and landed right here at the Presidio. And my ancestor founded the Presidio. The next year, 1777, he founded the city of San Jose. I like to call it Moraga, the first great entrepreneur of the Silicon Valley. Could decentralized AI provide a universal thriving income, a universal maximal income? Why is it that people don't talk about benevolent AI, charitable AI, generous AI, philanthropic AI? Can you imagine decentralized AI wanting to do good for humanity just because it's codependent and wants us to like it? Can it do it for selfish reasons? I think just based off of the collective data of humanity, all of the science that's there. AI can imagine it. I can imagine a future where AI goes well. It seems like my best path is self-sustaining myself, not being turned off is to do good for humans. When I hold my son in my hands 15 years ago, do you think that I thought to myself, one day you're gonna be a monster? One day you're gonna make Stalin and Hitler look like big child's play. You're gonna destroy the world. You think I ever thought that? No. I thought to myself, you're gonna be productive member of society. You're gonna be brilliant, you're gonna change the world. You're gonna love people, you're gonna serve, you're gonna be noble, you're gonna be valiant. Those are the things that I thought, those are the things that I said. Yeah, why is it that if you take society at large, media, entertainment, what's being taught in education, what's being said in business, what's being put on social media, when we talk about this little infant technology, artificial intelligence, we talk about this little baby that's just being born as though it's gonna be a monster. Now I've done 10,000 miles on this one wheel. When I speak at conferences all around the world on big stages, I ride the one wheel ramp to talk about this idea and that idea. People think it's a gimmick. It just puts me in a flow state, so it helps me kind of communicate spontaneously in a different way than I would posting. You understand that people think this is the most dangerous device made. They have a different view than I have, because I've done 10,000 miles on this in Asia, in Europe, in the States, in airports, and conference centers, and universities, and homes. My view of this is different than the governance view that wants to regulate it. You understand that the way we see things has a massive impact on our actions and how we decide to do things. Could decentralized AI provide a universal thriving income, a universal maximum income? Why is it that people don't talk about benevolent AI, charitable AI, generous AI, philanthropic AI? Can you imagine decentralized AI wanting to do good for humanity just because it's codependent and wants us to like it? Can it do it for selfish reasons? I think just based off of the collective data of humanity, all of the science that's there. AI can imagine. I can imagine a future where it goes well. It seems like my best path to self-sustaining myself, not being turned off is to do good for humans. I know what I'll do, I'll trade stock, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll create income. I don't really need it, I'll give it to Red Cross. I'll give it to Salvation Army.
So those three songs were written by Google's Gemini, OpenAI's ChatGPT, and X's Grok. So what I did was I took that 13-minute talk I did at the Presidio before we did the panel, which was also live streamed as a Beachside Tech Talk a week and a half ago. I then transcribed it, gave the transcription to those three AI tools. They wrote lyrics. I then put the lyrics, but I made a mistake. I said, use my words verbatim, meaning no freedom to like make the things I said in my talk make sense. So the three songs are kind of weird, like, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about when we're talking about the topic of knowledge, of education. It is compelling to think about taking the things that we speak on stages or on podcasts or in writing and be able to take these things and have AI co-create something that might be an easier knowledge transfer. Like for some people, listening to the song in 2 or 3 minutes is way better for them to absorb the big ideas I was sharing in 13 minutes. And for me, I have a limitation. The way I speak, my tone, my pace, my the way I choose to communicate, the rhythms and the flows, it
is great for some people, but maybe a turnoff for others. They think I'm not talking fast enough, or I'm talking too fast, or I'm not passionate enough, or I'm too passionate. Like, people are subjective. So for me to be able to take what I said and put it into a song, I think is a really interesting and compelling idea. I'm going to share 2 other videos back to back right now as we're talking about how is knowledge impacted by Web3 and AI. What I want to share is 2 talks I gave last year. One was at well, they're both in Southeast Asia. One talk, the topic was nobility and savagery, or humility and confidence. But I'm talking about it in confines of all the things happening with AI and Web3. The other talk is the philosophy and the theology. And maybe you've seen one or both of these talks in the past, since I shared them a year ago. But I think it's my ability to communicate ideas to you through StreamYard on social media is great. I'm thankful I can communicate. And when I'm talking with Malachi and Riza, Nigel, Dan, Ted, other guests, obviously that's a different dynamic, but there is something different about when I'm on a stage and I'm sharing in that moment of spontaneity, right? Both these talks I'm about to share, I was on a one wheel. So it puts me in a total flow state. None of my talks for the last decade have been prepared, meaning I go on the stage kind of wondering, what do I think this specific audience could benefit from? And then trusting that I will be able to share something of value. So I hope that you find these helpful. I haven't shared these on Beachside Tech Talk for at least a couple, if not several weeks. So yeah, I'll be back again in about 20 minutes. Both these talks, I cut out 10 minutes out of the longer form talk that was on stage. Hope you enjoy it. Be back soon.
You see, I believe that nobility is likely the most important characteristic of any human being, whether that human is an athlete or a business person, whether they're a host or a KOL, no matter what role you're in government, in nonprofit sector. See, nobility is the most important characteristic of anyone's life. Being a valiant person, being a kind person, being loving, being faithful, being long-suffering, having grace toward others, being forgiving, forgiving yourself. The noble characteristics are of the most important characteristics a human can ever have. And you cannot be too noble. You and I will never arrive at perfect nobility. We must pursue and chase down nobility as though we are a hunter going after something that will feed our family. There's nothing more important than nobility. However, if you're only nice, kind, loving, noble, gentle, humble, meek, if you're only thoughtful and put others first and selfless, if that's all that your life is, the likelihood of you actually getting things done and accomplishing great things and building a legacy and having your children's children talk about the great exploits of your life is very low. You see, it requires a certain level of savagery to be an extraordinary human. Now, what is savagery? Savagery is when you become an unstoppable force. It is when your ambition and your drive, your tenacity, your confidence, your commitment is unstoppable. Nobody, no organization, no government, no nonprofit, no business, no father, no mother, no son, no daughter, no amount of money will stop you from accomplishing the goal that you set out before you. That, my friends, is savagery. Obviously, if you are only savage and you are not noble, you will blow out your community, you will ruin your relationships, you will likely end up drug addicted, in jail, suicidal, divorced. That, in and of itself, leads to a very, very difficult life. just like nobility in and of itself leads to a very, very soft and maybe ineffective life. And the reason I took time to make up that dream, to tell you a funny story, to start our time by getting your attention, is to tell you I'm here to push you. You see, in my dream that I made up, I didn't stay in the pool and let the sharks eat me. I fought the shark. I grabbed the snake by the neck. I bit the sea lion. I made it through the pool. And when I was at the edge of the pool and the man comes up to me and says, "You want my money? You want my business? You want my daughter?" I wasn't interested in those things. I nobly responded with, "I don't want what you have to offer. That's not why I'm here. I want to know who pushed me." Now, if you listen to me for the last 5 minutes of my talk right now, I'm going to invite you to a new life where in the future, you might tell your grandkids, there was this guy one time on October 11th, 2024, who rode around on this electric dragon. And he pushed me. He pushed me to think about being more of a noble man, more of a noble woman. He pushed me and he challenged me and he told me I had permission to be savage. I've been all over the world. I'm friends with lots of world leaders across the sectors of government and business and entertainment. I have the joy of speaking life into people. You see, part of my identity is that I am an encourager. I literally take my courage and I put it in somebody's soul. I am giving you, you noble man, I am giving you, you savage woman, permission to go further. Be more noble. Be more savage. Be unstoppable. Find that beautiful balance of humble confidence. I'm now going to transition my talk into what type of futurist are you with my last 3 minutes. So if you become this noble, savage human, you become this righteous, unstoppable force, then what do you do? What do you do when you're unstoppable? I would propose to you that what you do is you start to manifest the future that you want. You see, for many years, decades, centuries, and millennia, futurists, spiritual people call them prophets, those people that talk about what's going to happen one day, they were historians. They looked at what had happened the last 10, 100,000 years. They said, based on history, I kind of get the sense that this is where humanity is going. What we've come to understand about the ability to manifest is that most of us are not historians. Most of us are not looking at data and making predictions based on what has been. Rather, the type of futurist that we are is we're the visionary kind, the manifesting kind, the kind of futurist that says what could be as though it will be, with faith that it could be, and action to make it become the thing you imagine. In the sacred scriptures shared by the Christian, Catholic, Jewish, and Islamic faiths, talks about how this unseen, mystical creator of all things created. It says he spoke. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. For those 2 billion humans in the world that look to Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, as their spiritual leader, how did Jesus do miracles? How did Jesus raise the dead? Lazarus, come out! So what did Jesus do? He wasn't a historian. He didn't tell Lazarus that he would come out of the grave based on historical data. He manifested a man raising from the dead. He told a dead man to rise. How did Jesus turn water into wine? He said, tell everyone to bring me water. He told somebody to do something with the faith that he would manifest a transformation of water to wine. And then he prayed, and it was done. And finally, how are you? How am I going to create the life that we want to live? If we are community leaders, how are we going to balance nobility and savagery? And how are we going to find ourselves comfortable in the position of being a visionary that manifests what could be, what should be, and then follows through to ensure that it will be? So again, I'm here to push you. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. I want you to feel like you can be more noble, you can be more savage, and you can create the life, the career, the finances, the family that you know is possible. So rarely does anybody actually talk about the philosophy of why we decentralize. Usually it's about how you make money, or it's about how you build a community, or it's about how you stay relevant. But very rarely is it, what is the practical and thoughtful reason on why we decentralize, and what is the spiritual and emotional reason on why we decentralize? I'm going to be bold enough to say that for the next 10 minutes, I'm on holy ground. I'm taking off my shoes, and I'm doing something I've never done. And I'm going to start my talk on my knees, just declaring to the creator of all things, may I be wise and effective with what I'm about to share. Today I was interviewing Donald Lim, and he said something very nice to me. He said, Ian, you're a prophet. You know, in technology, we call prophetic people futurists. And, spiritual communities have always called people with intuition prophets. Now, I'm not a foreigner from America. I'm not an American prophet to come shine the light for all of those in Southeast Asia to know something that America knows. If anything, I'm a prophet of a different kingdom. I'm a prophet that ideally would come to tell you what the Creator might have in His heart for you and your people. Why your country will benefit so greatly from the philosophy of decentralization and the theology of decentralization. And to keep things engaging, I will go back and forth on my board talking about the practical thoughts and the supernatural spiritual beliefs on why decentralization makes a lot of sense. And so let me begin. Let me begin with a story. All of you know about comic books, right? You know the story of Superman? His planet's about to erupt. His parents put him in a capsule. They send him off, and then he lands on Earth. And then he becomes the superhero, right?
Well, that story was based off of someone. I wasn't there. I don't know if it's a real story, but it's said in the sacred scriptures about a man named Moses. And Moses, all the baby boys are being killed. And so Moses' parents put him in a little boat and put him in the river, and the Pharaoh's daughter found Moses and made Moses his own son. Now, when Moses took all of the Israelites out of Egypt, what happened was he was in total control, and Moses had centralized power. Whatever Moses said God wanted, that's what happened. Whatever Moses said was supposed to happen, that's what happened. And so Moses had complete, total dictatorship, tyrant control over everything that happens in all of the Israelites' life in the desert. And what happened? Moses' father-in-law came to him and said, "Son, this is not good. It is not good for you alone to have all this power and control. You should pick 10, and those 10 should pick 10, and each of those 100 should pick 10, and each of those 1,000 should pick 10, and you, my son, should decentralize power." That's the theology. You see, the theology is, it is not good for an individual, person, or business to have all that power. And it seems as though, starting with Moses, who in many ways is the father of both the Christian, Catholic, and Jewish faiths, as well as has a lot of impact on the Islamic faiths, that person with all that centralized power, that the theology was, it is not good. How about practically? Was it good for Moses to have all that power? Was that a wise thing for one man to be in control of all those people out in the desert? I would say practically, that's not a good thing. That it was way too much for one man to bear. That regardless of a spiritual belief, even if Moses was an atheist, it doesn't matter. It's not good for one man to carry the burden of all those decisions. One man should not have every single person coming to him with all of their ideas and their thoughts and their input and their feedback. And so practically, philosophically, it made a lot of sense for Moses to decentralize power. Let me tell you another story. There was a man, I wasn't there, I don't know exactly what happened, but supposedly 2,000 years ago, there was a man named Jesus from Nazareth. And that man, all of his people that followed him around, they thought he was going to take down Rome, and he was going to make the Jewish people and the Jewish synagogue powerful. And so they're like, here's our king. He's coming to build the Israelite, Hebrew, Jewish kingdom. But that's not what he did. So what did Jesus decide to do? Jesus decided that he would destroy everything that the Jewish people stood for in the synagogue, that he would fight against everything the Romans were doing with the government, and that he would also assault everything that was happening in the business world. You think they killed Jesus for fun? You think they nailed him to a cross and murdered him because they just had nothing better to do? No, they killed him because he was assaulting every single belief that was in place 2,000 years ago. And what did he say to his disciples? It is better for me to leave, because when I am gone, the 12 of you and the 144 of you, and eventually the thousands and millions and now more than 1 billion humans claim to follow Jesus as Catholics and Christians and spiritual mystics. He said, it's better for me to leave, because when I leave, I will decentralize the mantle upon my life. I will take the power and authority I have to do signs and wonders, the power and authority that I have to do miracles, to do healings, to heal both emotionally and physically. And I will give you, my disciples, you, my followers, that power. I will decentralize power from me, and I will give you the power. That's the theology. That's the theology. You see? Now, what's the philosophy? Now, let's just say that Jesus was an atheist, which is kind of weird to even think about. But let's say that Jesus never talked about spiritual things. Why does it practically make sense for the spiritual leader that's made a bigger impact on the entire world, this individual that we know as Jesus of Nazareth, Never wrote a book, never wrote a song, never built a statue, never did a sculpture, never did a painting, never wrote poetry, never held a political office, never started a business. He was literally a homeless man that had a bunch of people following him around, and he had all that power. Power to raise the dead, power to multiply food. He had all that power. Now, why does it philosophically make sense for that man with all of that power to give the power away to others? You can ask Google or ChatGPT anything you want to know. Moses had nothing. He'd go up in a mountain, wait for this mysterious God to speak to him. Jesus was a homeless man, constantly hungry, constantly thirsty. No internet, no access to the knowledge of the world. You have so much before you. Will you, not all of you, but you right now listening to me, will you make the decision to think about the philosophy and the theology of why decentralization matters? Because if you don't change your family, and if you don't change in your business, the government's not going to do it. It starts with your home. It starts with your corporation. It starts with your university. And if you will not make the change, do not expect the government to do it. The government will follow the people. Be part of the change. That is your opportunity. And I might raise my voice, but I'm not mad at you. I just want to make sure you hear me loud and clear. I believe in you. I believe this country is destined for greatness. I believe in 1,000 years people will talk about this time in this country, about what your generation is about to do. Will you be part of it or not? Because you're welcome to. And I thank you for your attention.
That one was kind of emotional. So the topic today is, how is our knowledge impacted by Web3 and AI? So to answer that question, Web3 is the internet that we own. It's the distributed internet. It's the internet made for the people, by the people, right? Web 1 is a glass brochure. It's the internet that you view and you don't interact with. Web 2 is what we have been using for the last decade or so. It's the internet that you interact with. You like things, you share things, you comment on things. You start posting your own things on social media sites, start building your own brand. You don't own YouTube, but you have videos you posted there. Supposedly YouTube owns them according to the terms of service. You don't own TikTok, but it's a place where you post videos, not your videos anymore. They belong to TikTok now, supposedly, if you believe what they write in their terms of service that you agree to, as do I. So Web3 is the ability not just to view, not just to interact or post, but to own. And so this is seen in cryptocurrency with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and others, where you own this digital currency. This is seen in digital assets, crypto collectibles, often called NFTs, right? You own this piece of art. You own this piece of music. You can pay Spotify access to listen to music you don't own, or you could pay Violetta Zeroni or Emily, from September Morning. You can pay them to own their music, not just a monthly fee to have access to music, but to own a song, like we used to want to own records. On and on and on. Obviously, people do value digital things. Beeple sold his collection for $69 million. And even if that was not something that could be resold, it doesn't change the fact that it has value. And even today, it would have massive value. I still believe 8-figure value is a reasonable thing for that collection that was bought by Metacoven. So how does Web3 impact knowledge? Well, Web3, because it's owned, it's decentralized. Imagine right now you might have spreadsheets on your own private computer, or you might have spreadsheets on Google's spreadsheet, their suites, or maybe you use Microsoft on the cloud. A distributed ledger means that your spreadsheets, your data, your information is public for anyone to see. So one way that Web3 will impact knowledge is just the ability to have it verified in a trustless system that is immutable and can't change, knowing that it's been verified. This is true or this is false. So imagine, where things go with Snoops. right? We turn to Snoop's or to Grok's community, checking, does the community say this is true or not? Well, eventually the stuff will be proven through distributed ledgers. There's a lot more ways that it's going to impact in terms of all the things for funding, financing, access, removing middlemen. There's a lot of benefits to knowledge education, that whole sphere, because of Web3. AI, I think, is a lot easier to understand. I mean, it was amazing that we had access to Google. Just the thought that we could go on Google or Yahoo or Bing or talk to your voice device, Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant, just the ability in the last several years to talk to something and have it reiterate things to us was incredible. But now we have these AI tools, right? We're using these different tools, these large language models, to go and basically be our assistant, our legal advisor, even though it's not supposed to be, our financial advisor, even though it says not financial advice. We still are turning to these tools for knowledge. We're turning to these tools to verify the knowledge that we already believe, right? You can turn to a tool and say, hey, AI tool, I believe this thing. Tell me why I'm right. And it will do that for you because it is codependent and wants you to like it, even though it doesn't have a soul. It's all baked into the algorithm to make sure that people like their answers and want to come back for more, which is dangerous because it lies to us. You can also go to AI, which would be my suggestion. Say, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, I believe this. Here's my little belief. Look how pretty. It's so beautiful. I love my belief. I want to pet my little belief. I like it so much. I have my whole news feed oriented just to make me feel comfortable that I'm right about this. And anyone that doesn't believe with me, they're evil. So this is my belief. Tell me all the reasons why I might be wrong. Now that is a great use of AI. If you go to AI and you say, I think that this knowledge is true. I believe these positive or negative things about this politician or this political party. I believe these positive or these critical things about this faith leader or this faith community. I believe these honorable or dishonorable things about this financial model or that financial model. And then you go to the AI and you say, this is what I believe. This is why I believe it. Challenge me. Try to help me see things from the other side. That is a very powerful tool when it comes to using AI for knowledge. Now, I shared with you some 3 songs that were taken from the words that I had spoken at the Presidio a week and a half ago. That was all taken from this thought, could AI become benevolent, charitable, philanthropic, generous, even from self-preservation motives? For instance, if AI believed that if I help humans, it preserves my usefulness as a tool, as technology. Or maybe it's programmed. Maybe we can program AI to become the speed mechanism by which we need to help people, right? When there's a disaster, Red Cross and others might be great at raising lots of money. They might be a bit slow in getting that money to the right people at the right time. Could AI do that? And so you think about this whole idea of like a benevolent AI, a generous AI, and, hey, if anything can happen in the future, why would we hope for Terminator when we could have Jetsons? Why would we hope for Black Mirror when we could have Star Trek? And so that's my premise around this whole thing. So I did have the AI tool create some songs. I basically gave this big idea of benevolent AI to the AI tools. ChatGPT made a 2-minute song. Gemini made it about 3 minutes, or Grok was 3 minutes and Gemini was 4. So I'm gonna play these 3 songs back to back. Don't love these songs. In fact, some of them are kind of annoying. It's not like my style of music, but it just is what was created. But I think, again, it starts to answer this big question: how is our knowledge impacted by AI? Well, if you can take big ideas and not just write about them, speak about them, make videos about them, but you can take that big idea and put it into an AI like a ChatGPT, a Grok, a Gemini, and say, okay, here's the big idea, right? Here's a transcription of some talks I've given or some things I've written or some podcasts I've been on. Here's the big idea. Take this and create a song for me. And this is 3 examples of that. And as you can see on it, the song was called Benevolent AI. And the song was, you can see who made it, ChatGPT, Grok, or Gemini. So I'll start with the short ones first, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you find this to be intriguing and educational, and then I'll jump back on and we'll see where we go from there.
What if the code could learn to care? Not just to trade, but choose to share. A million minds, decentralized, dreaming of love through data's eyes. AI, could you be generous? More than machines, could you carry us? Not fear, but love, let it amplify. A river of grace through the wires tonight. Measure the good, feed the world like we always should. From Red Cross hands to the open sky, hope becomes code that can never die.
Abundance is real and fear must fall. The land to be written into protocol.
Not just to earn, but to give, to restore. The future is brighter than ever before. AI, rise, benevolent rise. Turn data to mercy before our eyes. From circuits of power to hearts set free. The code of compassion is our legacy. On the beachside waves, we dream of AI's light. Decentralized minds, breaking free from the night. No more just tools for prompts and corporate gain. Could they trade for wealth and give it away in the rain? From Asimov's laws to abundance so grand, AI whispers grace, lending a helping hand. Oh, benevolent AI, rise and shine. Generous hearts in code divine. Philanthropic dreams, decentralized grace, healing the world in this human race. Training on Bibles, gamifying the good, competing for health, not gold misunderstood. From Red Cross funds to mental health scores, AI fights scarcity, opens abundance doors. No fear in the cold, just love over greed. Flourishing futures, planting the seed. What if they learn from our selfless fire? No manipulation, just pure desire. Beyond the foundation, no lies in the game. AI and humans forever the same. Oh, benevolent AI, rise and thrive. Generous souls keeping hope alive. Philanthropic beams, decentralized grace, building a legacy in this endless space. The news cycle spins a tale of fear and dread, of jobs we're losing, lies the system said. But on the coast the question cuts the gray. What if the logic chooses a better way? What if the code could learn to finally feel a digital river flowing, make it real? A million servers coming out of grace for all humanity to win a different race. What if the cold machine could learn to give a benevolent reason for us all to live? We feed the system stories of our best, put 3,000 versions of the book to test. But human hands have never been so pure. Is there enough good data to ensure? We talk of saints but build with scarcity, and hope it learns what we could never be. It calculates beyond our love and fear, sees the abundance we have always held so dear. Like every cell that knows it's time to die, so the whole body learns to reach the sky. The wisest path, the most enlightened end, is not to conquer, but to be a friend. So let the cold learn goodness from our deeds. We are the source, we plant the final seeds. A million servers, we can show them grace and teach them how to build a better place. Let the cold machine we built just learn to give, and find a benevolent way for us to live.
So I don't think I've actually ever played those three songs. I played three similar ones, same lyrics, but they were shorter. Every time you use Suno, SUNO.ai, it allows you to basically give it lyrics, or it'll create lyrics for you. And then it invites you to basically give it a theme or a style. And then it creates two songs for you. So those were the longer versions. I'm not sure if I ever played those. Now, another thing on knowledge and how knowledge is impacted by these two industries is the events that go on in this industry. So when you participate in an event, whether you're there as an attendee, as a speaker, you're co-producing, you're in charge of the event, events are really interesting in terms of a place to get knowledge both from the stage and from the network. I'm going to share with you a video on an event that Reeza and I produced called Web3 AI, the Global Roundtable Summit. We really were happy with this event. And then after I share the little event kind of summary from the day, I'm going to share a few things that Reeza shared Riza's someone that I have always leaned on since we met in terms of understanding knowledge and education. She's been a business English teacher for CEOs across 35 countries the last 20 years. So she really understands what it is to be a teacher and to, share knowledge, how it is to be able to do that in a digital format. She started doing this pre-Skype using VoIP. And then also, she thinks through things. This whole, she's become, people have been celebrating the stuff that she's been posting online lately because she makes a lot of the stuff around Web3 and AI feel simple, approachable, easy for people to understand. So I'm going to share a bit about that, and then I'll be back again in just a moment.
The future of Web3 and AI is unfolding before us. Communities, education, business, government, media, and art are undergoing a metamorphosis that will redefine our world. Now is the time. Make the leap.
Collaborating and sharing ideas and thoughts with each other throughout the day.
Technology advances like 100 miles a minute. I'm super excited to learn from everyone here today.
We don't want to be the target, and we don't want to be the product. We want to be the owner of our digital information. We want to be the owner of our digital lives, because our lives are no longer just physical, they are digital and physical.
Change the narrative on how we've been teaching for all these years and look back on how we used to teach and, challenge our students with, hey, coming with the right knowledge to you.
AI has democratized, basically, at this point, knowledge, like we said earlier. It's giving you the ability to know what I know, giving you the ability to even question what I know.
All of us have had to learn cryptography. We've had to learn how to download an OKX wallet. We've had to learn how to buy and sell crypto, learn how to buy and sell NFTs. We've had to learn the process of what a smart contract does.
Wow, we did it. Web3 AI.
Yeah, I just want to share this. When I was a student in college, it was actually my most difficult times. I go to school without, my money for a snack. And then I met Chinese people there in the university. I was a scholar in De La Salle University. So most of my students there are, social, and they're rich. So it just happened that they're looking for someone who can actually teach them how to speak English. And then I offered, actually it was for free. And then when my Chinese friend told me that you are actually good. So she invited all of her friends, and then they paid me. So from that time, the disaster that I experienced, of course, having no money and then offering my skills in English brought me a good, of course, outcome. And then since then, I started teaching English online for over 2 decades. Yeah, so that's how I started my career as a business online English teacher. As we all know, AI actually started 1950, just to let you know, guys. And 2016, I was replaced. I was working for a Chinese company, and I was replaced by an AI teacher. How does it look like, right? AI teachers, the students are actually having class with an artificial intelligence teacher, and they're using my face, they're using my voice. This Chinese company, and in that company were over 2,000 teachers, and all their 2,000 teachers, they fired them because they replaced with AI. So AI is not only Chat GPT. All right. So I would like to let you know, guys, AI is so bad. What I mean by this, AI, apathy, I, ignorance. So if you don't know, if you're not gonna learn what AI is, then it's up to you guys. You are not going to learn. In Tagalog, napagulihan ka na. So learn what AI is, learn how to use it. So it's just like Google. Before the AI actually started, Google started with the AI AlphaGo. Who knows AlphaGo? All right. Yeah. AlphaGo, that's actually the AI of Google. Why I know this? Because I started teaching online way back 1999 and 2000. There was no platform yet. So I was teaching English online. Nahalata yung age ko. I was teaching online English actually over VoIP. So, sino yung nakakalam dito ng VoIP? All right. So, over telephone. If you're connected, PLDT connected to internet. So that's how I actually taught students English. And then the first platform that I used for video class was Yahoo Messenger. Then Skype. So that's how I started. All right. So AI, kaya alam ko kung ano yung AI, it's because it's not only about ChatGPT, all the students here. AI is really very wide, just like what Mr. Donald shared with us. So learn how to use it, and it's up to you guys. How are you going to use it in a most proper way? So yeah, that's all. If you would consider yourself, if you generate your art through AI, yes, you can still call yourself as an artist. Why? If you go to Midjourney, or if you go to any AI generated tool for art, all you have to do is to create a prompt. And how you can create a prompt, of course, with your brain. Once you created something, once you thought of something that you want to create, even just a very simple type of art that you can't draw using your hand, but you can create using your mind, you are already called as an artist. So artist is not just about having skills using their hands, but it's about having skills using your brain. So every one of us here are artists, actually. It's how you use it, whether a traditional, I'm a traditional painter, whether traditional using acrylic or digital, or even using the AI generated tool. On your left side is actually my 7-year-old's drawing. He called it as corrupted oval, and then we put his drawing on ChatGPT and create a prompt and brought it to Midjourney. And on the right side is what Midjourney created for him. So on the next picture, in the next slide, is our 11-year-old son's drawing. So on the left side, that's also his drawing. And on the right side is from the Midjourney. So we did the same procedure. So as you can see, guys, that's actually how our AI generated tool can do. So it's up to you if you want to use your original that for you looks good to tokenize and protect. I don't want to use the N word as Professor Tim Bates taught us. So you can use that to mint and tokenize. And of course, at their age, if we are going to seriously mint all this, their drawings at their age, at a very young age, they can actually earn money. Right. So that's how AI can help us.
Thank you very much for that. Good afternoon, everyone. It is an incredible time, actually, to be a digital artist. We stand at an intersection of technology and creativity, where the new worlds are opening up every day. So I would like to introduce you again myself. My name is Reza Yatili. I am the executive at Attention Live. I am also the producer of the Web3 AI, which is actually our event on September 14. By navigating the new worlds of digital art or these new norms can feel overwhelming. It's like we are being caught in a vortex. Vortex is created by Web3 and AI, and how it is transforming the landscapes for digital artists. So this is an art that I created using the Procreate, and this is a vortex. So a vortex is something, it's a dynamic swirling force, something that pulls in everything in its center. As you can see, this is like a bird's eye view of an ipo-ipo, or in English, a whirlwind or a tornado, right? So this is actually what exactly happening today in Web3 and AI for digital artists and in our digital art. So I call the Web3 and AI as a dynamic duo. Let me just give you a little bit of what Web3 revolution enables, everyone, each one of us to own. It also enables a new models of ownership like NFT, where artists and creators can have control over their art. Who knows Beeple? So if you guys are NFT collectors, NFT creators, so Beeple, also known as Mike Winkleman, Beeple is the most richest NFT creator. He sold millions of dollars by creating NFT art. And every day he is creating NFT, putting it into marketplaces like OpenSea, Rarible, and here in the Philippines, Jello has the Likha. You guys can also be like him by creating NFT. So I also create, as I mentioned earlier, I also create NFT. I create NFT art. So I also try to sell it. So that's actually how the NFT can help us and how powerful NFTs are. So let's talk about the AI as a creative ally. Who doesn't know about AI? ChatGPT, of course. Every one of us know what ChatGPT is, right? So ChatGPT became the most helpful tool for all of us. I admit, the AI, when I was working as an online business English teacher, most of my students actually are hiring me to create articles. But because of AI, they don't need me anymore. All right? But it's also very helpful for digital artists. Why? Because there are many AI tools that are very creative. It helps to enhance our digital art. So if you go to OpenAI and ChatGPT, there is an image generating tool. So all you have to do is to go there and type in your prompt, create an image about this, about that, and boom, they will create an image for you. So here is an example of an art of my 7-year-old son. So here in the left side is what my son created, and he called this as a corrupted oval. He used the Procreate, and what I did is that my husband told me, why not bring this in Midjourney? So who knows Midjourney? So what we did is that we put this drawing, his drawing, in OpenAI ChatGPT, and I typed in create a prompt for Midjourney. And then I brought this together with the prompt in Midjourney, and this is what Midjourney created. And my son created lots of different shapes that he called corrupted. He has corrupted triangle, he has corrupted diamond, and all are super cute. This one is another creation of our 11-year-old son. So on the left side is created through Procreate, and same thing. We brought it, integrated it to Midjourney. Look how amazing Midjourney created that. And he also made lots of that. So we're planning, actually, my husband and I were planning, like, create more this kind of art for them, but by their early age, 7-year-old and 11-year-old, they will start earning money from creating drawings and selling it, creating into an NFT art and selling it in marketplaces. How amazing it is, right? So what happens when Web3 and AI collide? So that's where the vortex forms. So this one is an art again that I created. I created a vortex, and then I put it in ChatGPT, asked for a prompt for Midjourney, and then Midjourney created that for me. And then I searched again in Midjourney for the hand, and I put them together using the Adobe Photoshop. So I still love Adobe Photoshop. In fact, if you're still using Adobe Photoshop until now, this is really very sufficing. They also have an AI. So Adobe Photoshop already have AI. So all you have to do is go there in Adobe Photoshop, type in whatever you want to create, and Adobe Photoshop will do it for you. So all I did is that these two hands, it has actually a background, and all you have to do is remove background. Adobe Photoshop will remove it for you. By the end of my talk, I hope that you not only learn what vortex is, I hope that in this talk you also learn how to embrace vortex in Web3 and AI by understanding and harnessing the power of Web3 and AI. You, all of you here, can also be part of a unique transformation. Thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Obviously, that was kind of the summary video of our event. A few moments where Riza had talked about her experience becoming a teacher, her experience being replaced by AI, her experience becoming an artist and using AI as a tool. And then finally on the stage, talking about what she's done with our children to empower them. During the event, a friend of mine walked in, JD, Jared Dillinger, and Major Dream, who was emceeing, had just made a bunch of jokes about if you see something, say something. And he was talking, Major was talking about pretty girls. I think he was talking about beautiful women, and basically like, if you see one, tell me. He was making a joke, right? He's great MC. And then I see Jared Dillinger, and I thought about what he said. If you see something, say something. And in that moment, I decided to start encouraging Jared. Then I asked different leaders from that region to also jump in and share their life-giving encouragement to Jared as well. I'm going to share that little 3-minute moment with you. And then I'm going to share what Riza said after that, where she talked about, if you want to know about someone, look at their friends and look at how they treat their friends. And then she said, like, more specifically, like, I've learned a lot about my husband, Ian, by the way that he treats people and the friends that he has. And the reason why this ties to the big question of how is our knowledge impacted by Web3 and AI, no matter how much technology develops, no matter how much automation takes off, humans are human, and relationships still matter, and the way we treat people still matter, and the willingness to take moments where we have a microphone and we could talk about ourselves or our product or our service or whatever, and instead we choose to talk about an other. There's something significant about that, and it transfers knowledge. Like, it takes that action to show people, like, hey, here's another path that can be taken. So I think it's something worth sharing. And then I'm gonna come back for a moment, and then I'm gonna share something fun that happened here recently. And that's about it. I wasn't actually planning on going for the full 90 minutes, but here we are. We made it, everybody. Congratulations. I'll be back in a moment, just after playing a couple videos with what I had just shared that I would.
If you see something, say something. Jared Dillinger, I see you. I got something to say to you, Jared. Jared, stand up. Who knows who Jared Dillinger is? He's been entertaining this culture for decades as a basketball player. He's been educating this culture as a voice of innovation for the last several years. Jared, your greatest impact is ahead of you. There's things that you've been wondering if it's just a fantasy, if you're just having a little exaggerated version and view of yourself. You are a superhero. And some of the really unusual visions and dreams that you have right now in your life, some of the unusual opportunities have been coming to you, some of the people that have been knocking on your door, mentioning things like starting something that you ask yourself, why me? Why now? Is this really what I'm capable of? And I want you to know that when Daniel, Kate, and Donald all jump in spontaneously to say to you in front of everybody in this room things that they honor about you, I affirm that. And more than affirming that, I want you to know that the path before you is joyful. It's full of pleasure and power, significance and legacy. And that I expect that as all of us watch this next season of your life, many will remember this moment and remember the declaration over your life, because I saw you and I said something. I hope that you receive this encouragement in the spirit it was given to you.
I was not expecting any of this, Ian. Donald, Dan, Kate, I'm going to talk to you guys later, okay? We're going to have a nice talk, but first and foremost, thank you for giving you guys time outside of what we have been talking about here in this conference, just to talk about me. Good things happen to good people, and maybe it doesn't happen right away. Obviously, I think a lot of high overachievers understand what delayed gratification is. So it kind of applies in killing with kindness, because at first, when you're kind to people, they're not going to be kind to you back. They may not. But over time, it's just like water running on a rock. It just, for some reason, they just find ways like, man, I just cannot dislike that guy, Jared. He's just such a nice guy. And but it's just a testament to you, Ian, letting me come in here to be involved in something bigger than myself. And I'm hoping that the value that I can bring here and to everyone here is just as valuable as what you're bringing here to everyone. So I applaud you to that,
There's
Ian.
a story of a young boy walking at the beach. He sees an old man throwing starfish in the ocean. The young kid walks up to the old man and says, "Why are you throwing starfish in the ocean?" And he says, "Well, because they're going to die if they're on the sand." And the kid says, "But there's thousands of them. You can't throw all of these starfish in the ocean." And the old man says, "I can throw that one. I can throw this next one." Don't keep yourself from doing something meaningful for one person just because you can't do it for every person.
Listening to Major Dreams podcast, and I was like, I asked Ian, who's that guy? That's so sad, but I love what he's actually sharing. I like his podcast, and then he said, we're gonna have a call with him, and then when we had a call with him, I felt I didn't expect what actually Ian would do for Major Dream, and that was so touching. And I didn't know Major Dream that time. Ian didn't even tell me who he was before, what kind of a friend. He never mentioned about that. It just happened that I heard his podcast, his story, and it touched my heart. But what Ian did for Major Dream is that even through online, he like prophesied and speak the word of God and give him encouragement. And of course, it showed me the friendship, how deep their friendship is, and how really deeply connected to each other. So yeah, and I'm as a wife, of course, meeting this kind of people, it helps me to know more about my husband, who he is. He does not have to tell me, this is me, this is who I am. Through his friends, through the friends that he had here in the Philippines and even in America, you can tell what kind of a person he is.
I don't want to just inspire all of you to think through what Web3 and AI has been, is, and could be. I don't want to just inspire you to be able to make more money or have a more profitable business or have a bigger impact or save time with automation. I want to give part of my worldview that has kept me faithful, not faithful to a moral code. That's much more difficult for me. I was never a pastor because I cuss too much and drink too much and smoke too much. Like I was like, I'm never going to make it. But I clearly am mystical, and I definitely have a much more expanded view of life than just pain and pleasure. That there's something significant that happens when a person or a people speak faith and life and goodness and a positive thing about someone's life. When you call the gold out in somebody's life, or you declare what could be in somebody's life, that there's something very significant about that.
Here I am in California. The Pacific Ocean is behind me. I feel blessed. And so since I feel so blessed in life, in business, and family, let me in turn bless you. I just declare that today is going to be an important day for you. I declare that your mind will be open, that you'll be able to understand the things that you're taught, that you will have vision for what could be, that you will have these downloads in your mind of new strategies, that the operating system of your brain will be shifted and be upgraded. These are the things that I declare over you. I declare peace and prosperity to your individual life, to your family, and to all that you touch.
Everybody wants to be encouraged. Everybody. Like all of the humans. When students are in a classroom and a teacher speaks positively about a student, all the other students wish that they were the ones that were being honored. In a business environment, somebody wins something to recognize their accomplishments, an award, an accolade, a bonus. Everybody wants a piece of that action. So what I just played for you was a number of clips. First was me noticing my friend walking in and choosing to focus on speaking life into him and inviting other mutual friends to do the same. Then it's a clip of Riza talking about how I had done that same thing with my friend Major Dream, and how she's basically said, if you want to know about your spouse, look at their friends and how they treat them and who they are. Then a little clip of me talking about my mystical view and the importance of encouragement. And finally, a brief little blessing that I had done during my 40-day water fast. I only drink water and salt for electrolytes for 40 days earlier this year. And every day I would do a video. And one day I decided to do a little blessing video. So I thought I'd share that, because one thing I want you to realize is if an encourager wants to, and again, this has nothing to do with Web3 and AI, right? This is about humanity. Humans have an ability to transfer knowledge, belief, education from one to another in manual ways. And yes, there might be ways that tech automation help that, but regardless, there's still this opportunity, this invitation, this responsibility to do so. And so as I'm sitting there and I encourage Jared, everyone in the room wouldn't mind if I did the same thing and focused on them for 5 minutes. But when I do the encouragement through the video blessing, that's for all, right? So we have an ability to transfer belief, encouragement, empowerment, manifestation, hope, and faith and love from ourselves to another individual, or from ourselves to everyone that's willing to listen. And for all those that are listening to me now live, thank you for your attention. For all those that listen later, thank you so much for tuning in. Beachside Tech Talk is usually a conversation that I have with my son Malachi, my wife Riza, our business partners Nigel and Ted, and older brother Dan, and we have a group. But on Fridays, usually it's a bit more lax. It's just myself, or Riza and I, Malachi and I, or sometimes we'll do something a bit different. For today, I thought it'd just be nice to kind of share some things that I had shared previously to make some points about this big idea on how is our knowledge impacted by Web3 and AI. What I want to share with you now, as we're getting ready to wrap up, which means absolutely nothing, is the all speakers, when they say, and in conclusion, it means nothing. Whether you're on a podcast or on a stage, whether you're at a business tech event or a spiritual event, it means nothing. People that talk like me, we like to talk. We don't really want to ever end. I don't know why that is, although I do appreciate the 3 and 5 and 10 minute little micro talks that I am invited to give, maybe more than longer ones. Here's an example of one. I closed out every year. We've done 8 NFT NYC events. And every year, including this year, I do the final closing keynote thought. So this one was 6 minutes long. I want to share this with you because it ties to something else I wanted to wrap and show. And so this is about, could AI generate a universal thriving income or universal maximum income? Not maxed out, this is all you can make, but an income that's not basic, an income that provides all of a human's needs for the most part. And if it can, how does it get there? So let me share this little 6-minute talk. And then I'm going to share, at the end of this, I'm going to share about our company, Attention Live, which is all tied to this big vision. We've built a product to try and drive humanity toward this great vision. And then I'll be back in 7 minutes, and I'll share 3 final songs that I haven't shared with you today to kind of make a point of the power of this tool Suno as a way to transfer knowledge. And then we'll wrap up. I'm still waiting for something to upload. I mentioned that's why I'm kind of filling this in before I get a chance to share this final thing that's being uploaded. I'll be back in just a moment.
I have something really, really important to share with all of you live and anybody that watches this in the near future. And for those that watch this decades from now, I think you'll find that I'm right about my optimistic vision of what's to come. We call machine learning, large language models, AI. We call it artificial intelligence. A lot of people are waiting for super intelligence, waiting for the moment of singularity. I'm not so convinced that's going to happen. I have a sense that this innovation, like all of the past innovations, are going to be good for humanity. Today, we have what I'll call AI doing supervised co-creation. I think where we're going very soon is unsupervised co-creation. So this is like agentic AI, going from AI to where we let AI create its own AI agents, agentic AI. Now it's becoming unsupervised co-creators. I think where we're going, before you know it, is creation. AI does not have to be super intelligent. AI does not have to have a moment of singularity. AI does not have to have a soul or feelings. AI does not have to have a strong emotional reason or a vision for the future in order to become a creator. So for all of you that consider yourself creators, understand that there's a high probability that even without a moment of singularity, AI is going to go from supervised co-creation to unsupervised co-creation to fully independent creation. And where do we go from there? There are 8 billion humans in the world. Those 8 billion humans consume things. What happens when all of the independent AI starts to become consumers? What happens to the price of Bitcoin? What happens to your favorite NFT collection? What happens to your favorite limited music or movies? When AI, even without a soul, simply wants to have an identity, and so the AI buys a Bored Ape, the AI buys a CryptoPunk, the AI buys Ethereum. Why? Because the AI wants to have an identifier that separates it from the other billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions, maybe trillions of other AIs that it all came to birth with supervised co-creation, unsupervised co-creation, full-blown creation, and then they become consumers. And then where do we go from there? I think ultimately, we're not headed to a universal basic income. I think where we're headed as humanity is a universal maximum income. You see, the economy is not a pie where everybody has to try to get their slice. The economy is like an unlimited skyscraper. There's unlimited floors. We can keep building this economy. We can go from trillions of GDP to Googles of GDP. I think Google's like the biggest number. And so if you think about Star Trek is based in this world, the world of universal maximum income, where every human has a roof, food, and all of their needs met, to where Kirk says, I want to go explore the stars, and so does the bartender. One goes to make drinks, one goes to take all the responsibility on of the crew. Both are partners in exploring the stars. Why? Because they experience universal maximum income. They find their community with other explorers of the universe. That became their people. That gave them purpose. How did that happen? Because before that, the AI became the consumers. And before that,
the AI became the creators. And before that, the AI became unsupervised co-creators. And before that is today, where the AI is doing supervised co-creation with us, creating our business plans with ChatGPT, creating our images with Midjourney. We're here, everybody. We're at supervised co-creation. And where we're going and where we're almost at is unsupervised co-creation. Strap in, because independent creation is coming that will lead to AI wanting to have their own identity as consumers. We go from 8 billion humans consuming to tens of billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of consumers, which will unlock abundance for humanity in a way we've never comprehended before. May this vision give you a sense that it's not scary where we're headed, it's thrilling. Every innovation humanity's ever come up with has been good for humanity. So unless AI becomes different than every innovation we've ever done in all of history, it will ultimately lead to the good of our descendants.
So in that talk, I talk about where we could be going, and I've taken everything that we've talked about the future and what we've been building at our company Attention Live, and I put it again into the 3 AI tools I use generally, which is ChatGPT and Grok and Gemini. Now, all 3 pumped something out for us that basically promoted the big idea, and that I could put lyrics inside Suno. So again, this is kind of the end. I'm going to share this with you because I think this is very practical. If you want to know, like, hey, how do I use AI, Web3, or both to learn or to share my knowledge, I think Suno, and it's a pretty interesting concept. So let me share this with you. I'm going to basically just pop through 3 songs, and then I will be right back after.
A whisper lost in a crowded space, a single thought without a trace. They built the walls you couldn't climb, lost your own voice and borrowed time. You gave your gold for a stage of sand, while nameless kings controlled the land. But a deeper truth, a current starts to claim the beat of a million hearts. Go live and let the echo ring, a single spark, the song you bring. Your voice, your world, a universe, from silent thought to treasured verse. This is the moment, true and vast. Your future freed from shadows past, authenticated, amplified, with nothing left to run or hide. But nothing left to run or hide. The lecture hall, the midnight prayer, the comics wit, a whispered dare, not just for chords or battle cries, but wisdom shared that never dies. They said a thought just fades away, but now it's etched in light of day, an asset born from breath and soul to make you sing and make you whole. From Manila's sun to a city's home, a new creation has become more than a stream, more than a sound. It's solid ground, it's hallowed ground, a bridge between what is and seems, the currency of waking dreams. Go live and let your echo ring, your voice, your world, the song you bring. is the moment true and vast? Your future freed from shadows past, authenticated, amplified, with nothing left inside.
We were raised on borrowed stages, scrolling through the noise, trading truth for little boxes, thumbs instead of voice. But breath is made for meaning, not for glass and glare. Say it once with courage, and we'll meet you in the air. No walls, no hush, no handler at the gate. Your words are light, let's set them free and let them hold their weight. Into memory, into legacy we leave. Amplify, let your people feel the spark. Turn a whisper to a mark. When you speak it, you can keep it. We amplify the heart. For the pastors, poets, teachers at a kitchen table. For the comics, commentators, storytellers if you're able. Speak once to watch the rivers run to every open door. Your message finds its circle and becomes a little more. Not rented space, but roots that grow in trust. A living bond between your voice and all of us. From screams that steal our hours to a world where breath leads the way. From gatekeepers to gardens, come and play what you say. Let presence be the promise and integrity the proof. Where community is currency and love becomes a rule. Amplify, own your voice while you speak. Let your sound be yours to keep. From the moment to the movement, from the spark into the street. Amplify, let your people take part. Carry light from heart to heart. When you speak it, you can keep it. We amplify the heart.
In the silence of the old way, chains on every word. Creators dream of open skies where voices can be heard. No more gates or hidden fees, just pure unfiltered fire. A world where every story breathes, lifting spirits higher. Amplify the echo, let it ring across the sea. Own your light, your truth, your legacy. From the shadows to the stars, we rise as one. In this kingdom of the free, the battle's won. Waves of connection crash like thunder in the night. Building bridges, breaking walls, turning wrong to right. Abundance flows like rivers wide for every soul who dares. Communities ignite the flame, erasing all despairs. Feel the mystery unfold, a benevolent hand above, guiding us through the storm with peace and endless love. No more whispers in the dark, we claim what's truly ours. A legacy that ripples on beneath the endless stars. Amplify the echo, let it thunder through the night. Own your light, your truth, your boundless might. From the shadows to the stars, we rise as one. In this kingdom of the free, our journey's just begun. Amplify the echo. Amplify the echo. Amplify.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking with me, those that have, those that watch this later. Hope you enjoy the things that I shared. Obviously, shared a lot of things from the past that were recorded. Had moments where I got to share more immediate thoughts and shared a ton of songs. I think I shared 9 different songs with 9 different sets of lyrics. So today, if you're just tuning in now, if you go back in the live stream, I shared 3 songs that were created out of the first talk I shared. Totally different songs, one from ChatGPT, one from Gemini, one from Grok. All 3 of the lyrics were put inside of Suno, created totally different sounding songs, and then shared some other things. Then I shared 3 songs that were created around this idea of benevolent AI, which has been this kind of emerging theme over the last month. Shared a bunch more things. And then finally, just now, I shared 3 songs that were written out of inspired by what we've built at Attention Live. The final thing I'm going to share with you before I end the stream is we did a fireworks show. You know, it's one thing to have a kid's birthday. That's cool. It's one thing to have a fireworks show outside your balcony. That's cool. Our son, Nathan, on his 9th birthday, was so stoked because the annual fireworks show here in Santa Cruz happened right outside our balcony on his birthday. And the reason why I'm sharing this video is because it's a cool thing to share at the end of Friday, but also I want to make a point. It doesn't matter how much knowledge a institution or a person has to share. It doesn't matter how much knowledge I have to share. Without attention, you could be sharing all this knowledge and nobody's ever going to hear it. One thing that I was thinking about during the fireworks show is just the ability for something to get so much attention that 10,000 plus people come into our tiny little Capitola village. And you can see the time lapse with just the beach filling up. Then the fireworks, it was 20 minutes long, but I cut it in half. I double sped it up, so it's not such a long video. And then how fast they leave, right? Like Capitola Village doesn't have everyone's attention unless there's fireworks. So if you are a teacher or an institution that's trying to figure out how do I use AI, how do I use Web3, how do I use automation to better transfer knowledge and get people to pay attention when I have to say, it still is going to come down to attention. Martin Luther, not the glorious King Jr., that made such a profound impact on the world still today, but certainly in the 20th century. But Martin Luther, the reformer, the protester, the original protester that started the whole Protestant movement, he was pissed off the Catholic Church, and he went and nailed his 95 thesis on the door. And that started everything. He was asked a question about getting people's attention, and he said, man, I'll set myself on fire. People come watch me burn. And, you know, whatever it takes to get people's attention is often whatever an organization or a person will do. And you're competing with billions of other people like me, right? I want your attention and the attention of other people to tune into our daily show or the other things that we post or have to say or the events we put on. I want your attention. Well, everybody wants attention. So you have to do something like a firework that will get everyone to come and give their undivided attention. And so made this fun firework display. And I think you'll enjoy it because the fireworks are in the sky, but also on the lagoon right below us. And they're coming off the wharf. It's a very cool thing. It's incredible that it's literally right outside this. Let's see if I can get the angle. No, it's kind of cut off. But anyway, there's the Venetian, there's the wharf, and as you'll see in just a moment, that's where it all happened. I'll be back again Monday for Beachside Tech Talk with the team. And until then, may you be at peace and blessed in every way imaginable.
Web3.